Well, guys, I did it. I officially completed a first for an adult fantasy collector. I touched grass, guys. I touched grass, and it was amazing. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Garby's Garage. Today, like I said, touched grass. So what does that mean? Well, a few weekends back, my city was holding a collectibles convention at a convention center near me. So I thought, they advertised Hot Wheels as being there. Now, I know what that means. It probably means a bunch of people are selling licensed garbage I don't give a fuck about. But just on the off chance that there's some fantasy collectors there, or some fantasy sellers, I should say, why not go? So a few weekends back, me and a few friends went to this Collectables Expo just so I could buy toy cars. I did end up finding some, surprisingly. Some stuff I was interested in. So I figured, why not take a look at my haul today? Now, I did buy some of these carded, and I didn't think I'd be making this video at the time, so I did open them. But just trust me, the ones that I did buy carded, I will let you know that I bought carded, which will be even cooler when you see what it is I was able to find. So, really, I was pretty spot on the money when we get there. It was, for the most part, people selling. Well, first of all, dear God, there were so many Pokemon card vendors. Holy crap. But in between all those Pokemon card vendors, we were pretty thorough in our search. And we did end up finding a few vendors here and there that were selling Hot Wheels stuff. But sure enough, it was mostly licensed stuff that I just don't really care to spend my money on. But one of the first tables we arrive at, luckily, did have a little bin, a little plastic bin. It was pretty big. It was about the size of this table, filled with loose Hot Wheels cars. And I start digging through it, and I notice, like, wait a minute, these are all fantasy, or mostly fantasy. So I take a good few minutes and dig through that bin, and I ended up finding about 8 cars in that bin to take a look at. These were all, like I said, uncarded. These are all just loose cars. So we'll take a look at those first, because I was actually able to find some pretty cool finds. Let's start off with this guy. This is I think it was a 2018 X-Racers 5-pack. What 4-2 is the name of this casting. Now, this is a classic mid-2000s new model. I think check the base here to see if there's a date. 2004, so this was a 2005 new model. And this, like I said, was in the X-Racers set in 2018, X-Racers 5-pack. Now, X-Racers is what Hot Wheels calls their cars made with translucent plastic bodies. So as you can see here, we have this nice translucent red with a translucent green cockpit window, and then these engine covers. This is a very iconic silhouette for a Hot Wheels fantasy car for me. I didn't have an actual release of What 4-2 as a kid, but I did have the McDonald's release. And the cool thing about the McDonald's release was I distinctly remember these two engines. You could actually push them in. They were like clickable, pushable pieces of plastic. So when I got this release, I just had to check to see if the actual die cast could do that, and no, it doesn't. It's stationary. So you get these nice, I forget the name of this wheel type, but these were sort of meant to be wheels that were good for track cars. I think they're called, are these Trap 5s? I believe they're called Trap 5s, but they're made in the same clear green plastic as the engine covers and the cockpit. You get some cool X-Racer themed tampos on both sides there. Really neat. You'd never see something like this out on the road in person. That's what I love about the Hot Wheels fantasy designs, because, like, this is your view. If you're sitting in that cockpit, you have the two big-ass engines on both of your sides, giving you some pretty sizable blind spots. I also really like the base color. It's this Really nice metal flake dark gray. Super sweet. Now, as you can see on the date there, it does say 2004 and then comma 14. So when a car receives a retool, sometimes that will update the base as well with the year it was retooled. So it was released in the 2005 new models, and then it was retooled in 2015. I don't know what was retooled. I'd have to get an original retool casting of this, but it doesn't look terribly different from what I remember the original looking like. But like I said, I've never actually owned an original 4.2 before, just the McDonald's casting, which is different. So there's car number 1 for my little loose escapade. Next up, we'll take a look at this guy. I love finding loose Acceleracers castings, and this here is RD03. This is from a 2013, I want to say, 5-pack. So quite a few 5-pack castings from this loose lot that I found, which is good. I don't want to have to go track down and buy a 5-pack where I'm necessarily potentially only looking for one car, especially an older one like this. Now, the interesting thing about this particular release of RD03, this is actually the final release of this car to use the original tooling. The next release after this, which I think was in 2015 or 2016, did update the tooling, and I don't have a modern RD03, so I don't know what the differences would be, but typically retools are not generally positive from this era. So there's the base there, unpainted metal. RD03, this is one of the Racing Drones cars. You can tell if a car is a Racing Drones Acceleracers casting because it will always start with RD and then a number. So you get this enamel black Jungle Rally. I think that was the name of the 5-pack. I'm pretty sure this was the Jungle Rally 5-pack. So you get kind of a jungle, almost like a cheetah print deco there. You get some logos, you get Hot Wheels, something 03, probably to represent RD03. You get these green, kind of swamp green OH5s that I don't think I've seen OH5. Excuse me. I don't think I've seen OH5s in this color before. And you get, it's kind of worn off a bit, but you do get a bit of gold accenting on the axles there. Not the axles, the spokes. The interior piece is this metal flake gold that you can see from the engine exhausts on the sides. Piss window. There's that interior piece again for the engine itself. And yeah, so really nice, cool casting that I probably would have passed on had it not been for it being an Acceleracers casting. But I really quite dig finding these off releases, these 5-pack and multi-pack releases for Acceleracers castings. Speaking of, I dig them when they look good, but oh boy. Oh boy. So this is the 2016 Track Builder 5-pack Synchro, which is pretty iconically, maybe infamous is the better word. Now let me explain why I'm shitting on this. And I need a visual example here. I need a visual guide to explain to the uninitiated why this sucks so hard. So this is Synchro. This is the 2005 Acceleracers release. This is the first edition of this casting. The Teku Synchro. And as you can see, plastic body, metal base. I'm not sure what this blue shit is on mine. I got this secondhand from an online seller, and I could never figure it out, but ignore that. So, as you can see, distinct, unique part coming out to make that spoiler. It is not part of the interior. It is not part of the base. It is not part of the body. That is a separate plastic piece that juts out from the back of the car and gives it a really clean, nice spoiler. In 2016, to cut costs, Synchro was retooled, much like most of the other fantasy cars from the early and mid-2000s. And this was actually the very first release of Synchro post-retool. So rather than keep that separate plastic piece for the spoiler, the car was mostly left unchanged, aside from that spoiler, where they decided to just mold it to the base of the car, or the body of the car. And rather than, they could have still molded it to the body and then left it lifted like this. As you can see, it does lift off the car, quite a bit. But I think Mattel probably assumed that kids would break that piece pretty often, especially if they started using like slightly more brittle plastic around this time, which this card does not have as much weight. So I suspect that the plastic is of a cheaper quality. So they just decided to mold the spoiler directly into the body with no clearance at all. And to be honest, I think that kind of ruins the look of this car. It ruins the silhouette. The car is mostly unchanged as well. This was a track builder 5-pack, like I said. So you get this. This was around the era where, before X Racers, where they would use these clear plastics and just not call them X Racers. They were track cars. So you get this. I actually really do like the color combo on this car. You get the green clear plastic with this purple window piece. Green and purple are a fantastic color combination, my personal favorite. The tampos on mine are starting to wear out quite a bit, but you get Synchro with the Hot Wheels logo and a number 2 on both sides. I don't know, I can't really tell what color the OH5s were supposed to be accented with. They're black OH5s. At one point, there would have been a accent color on the spokes, but mine is quite beat up, so I don't know what that would have been. My guess is purple. There's the metal base. So the original tooling was tab and post. So you get the post there in the front, tab slots through the back of the car and holds it in place. Whereas the post retool, because these get sandwiched together by a machine, it is a 2-rivet car, 2 posts. Which again, didn't have to ruin the look of this car as much as it did, but Mattel chose violence that day. And I think Synchro kind of suffers for it as a result. Modern Synchros do not look nearly as good. But it is an iconic casting. It's a very well-loved casting prior to this retool. So it's just kind of unfortunate to see Synchro get the fate that it did. But moving on from that pretty depressing side excursion, let's take a look at the next car here. And that is this guy, which I was extremely excited to find, especially in the condition that it's in. Won't be the last time I talk about this specific car here, so I might not give it too much attention. This is the 2004 Track Aces Eye Candy. Now, I actually did have this release as a kid. And the cool thing about some of the 2004 Track Aces cars, which I eventually do plan on taking a look at all of them at some point, these guys use CM5 wheels, which, if you don't know, these are co-molded wheels, which means the interior of the wheel and the tire itself are 2 separate pieces of plastic. So you can kind of tell that by the interior with the spokes all being white and then the tire itself being black. You don't see that on Hot Wheels cars nowadays, outside of premium lines. And that's because it was very more of a premium way to make a wheel. Two separate pieces of plastic molded and fused together. So these were originally released in 2003 with the Highway 35 World Race cars. They all used CM5 wheels. But then for the next 2 years, certain other sets that were not mainline, that were slightly higher premium than mainline, did use these CM5 wheels, including Track Aces. A few of the cars in just the 2004 Track Aces set, including Eye Candy here, used the CM5s. You get a nice chrome trim around the wheel there. And like I said, I bought this car loose, and there is virtually no scuffing or damage at all. Typically, you buy these cars loose, and if they have like an accent color around the wheel, that'll be mostly rubbed off. But all 4 tires, it is pretty well fully here. You get the number 2 with the Hot Wheels logo on both sides. Really not much in the way of tampos on this car, but I think it looks nice. You get this enamel white metal body. You get the translucent orange interior piece. Metal base. 2 rivet car. Eye Candy is not one of my favorite castings, but it is one that I grew up with a few of them. Like, I had a few of these as a kid. So it's nostalgic for me, especially this particular release, because I had this one as a kid. But it's, again, not one of my favorite castings. I just think it's interesting to talk about, because this was an era when you could buy a close to mainline priced car. I don't think Track Aces were terribly expensive. They may have actually been mainline priced, and they would have these co-molded semi-premium wheels. But I will discuss this car and every other Track Aces from 2004 in a future video. So I won't dwell on that one anymore. So we're halfway through my loose cars. Let's take a look at number 5 here. This is a quick one. This is a 2001 or 2002, I forget, Vulture Roadster, which is another car I grew up with a release. Not this release. This was the first release they did of this car post retool. So I think it should say 2000 on the base. So this was a 2001 new model. This one would have come out in 2002 then. This was the first release of Vulture Roadster post first edition. So you get this, I think that's supposed to be a Vulture on the tampo there, with like a head of flame hair, very Hot Wheels. And then on this side of the car, you do get Vulture. This one's also in fantastic shape for being as old of a car as it is. Really interesting design for a car. Not one of my favorites, but again, it's another one like Eye Candy where I grew up with one of these as a kid. So you get this metal flake blue body, clear red base, and then the interior is actually unpainted metal. So you get this kind of crazy vent coming up from the engine and then going down the kind of roof of the car and then terminating at the very end there. Really unique design. Practically, I don't think this makes a lick of sense, but it sure is cool, and you sure don't see designs like this too often in the Hot Wheels main line anymore. You get some classic 5 SPs, classic chrome and black 5 SPs. Can't go wrong with those. And yeah, I have another, maybe a spoiler for an upcoming video within the next week or two, but I do have another Vulture Roadster. So I'll be talking about this car very, very soon in another video I'm doing. But for now, we'll leave it at that. So the next 2 cars I got loose from that bin, I'll talk about at the same time because they're the same casting, just different releases of it. I found a pair of Monopostos, which is, I consider Monoposto to be, man, a top 5, maybe even top 3 fantasy casting for me. I love this car so much. And we'll take a look at this guy first. This is my mascot car. I consider, if Garby's Garage and my channel as a whole had like a car I had to pick, a fantasy casting to be like a mascot car, I would absolutely say it's Monoposto. If you remember, any people paying attention, my first video opened up with me playing around with the first edition Monoposto. So this is a fantastic casting here. I love this car so much. This is the 2013 multi-pack exclusive version. So this is from a little later than when I would have had these. I had quite a few Monopostos as a kid. I think I had 4 or maybe 5 of them. This was not one of them. This is in a really nice metal flake. I don't know exactly what you'd call this color. It's like a purpley gray. Orange window. Black base. You can see this is one of those castings where they put a little plastic driver in the cockpit. So you can see the little plastic driver there, and that's part of the base. Nothing too crazy going on with the tampos, but I will say they do look nice. You get the name of the car there, Monoposto, and then a few nice kind of black accenting lines. Gold, orange, kind of amber PR5s. And the one thing I will say, like, this car is quite clearly well used. Otherwise, like, everything does look like it's in good shape. The tampos look okay, but the chrome or the paint on the tires is coming off quite a bit on most of them. It's not too bad on this side, but then you look over at this side and you can see it is really, really starting to rub off. But unfortunately, that does happen with these uncarded cars, especially ones that were well used and well loved. And then the other one that I got, this guy here, this is the 2015 multi-pack exclusive. So this was 2 years after the other one. And it also being a multi-pack exclusive, it is the exact same tampos. The only difference is it's in this metal flake dark blue. I think that's the same color. Slightly lighter, I think, on this guy. Orange window piece. Black plastic base on this guy as well. 2000 date code, so this is a 2001 new model, which I actually do have. Like I said, same tampos as the 2013 multi-pack. Gold accenting colors on the wheels, which you can just about see. This one is in much worse shape compared to the 2013 one. So it's kind of interesting. This is a newer version of this car, but it's more well used. There's just the littlest bit of paint left on those PR5s. And then this one actually does have some proper paint scuffing, if I could get the camera to focus. The front of the car especially is pretty dinged up. So this one's definitely a little worse for wear. But it's not in horrible shape. The back has some scuffing and damage as well. But it was well within the amount of damage that I was willing to pick this car up for. Really happy about that. Great finds. I'm trying to put together a full collection of Monopostos, so these will definitely go towards that. And then I do plan on making a video on that one day. So that's 7 of the cars that I found from that bin, but I do have one more. Right at the bottom of the bin, and I'm honestly surprised I was able to find this. Maybe this car is not as rare as I think it is, or not as desirable. But in 2008, Hot Wheels partnered with the film Speed Racer, the 2008 Speed Racer movie, and did their entire diecast line So I was able to find a Mach 5, a Hot Wheels Mach 5 car. Now, I haven't watched the Speed Racer movie since I was a little kid and it first hit DVD. I didn't get to see it when it was in theaters a few months back. Hopefully they bring it back for the 20th anniversary in a couple more years. But this is the main character's car, one of the cars that the main character uses, the Mach 5. This is the iconic classic Speed Racer car from the anime as well, the old, was it 60s or 70s anime? So really clean enamel white body. This one's in great shape too. There's a little bit of dirt and grime on both sides, but it's really not too bad. So you get the white body, black metal base. Really not much in terms of details here. These holes on the front, the back, and both sides of the car were used to hold weapons. There were these little like plastic weapons and tools that you could attach to the bottoms of these cars that each car would come with. And there were the holes so you could attach the weapons to either the sides of the car, the front of the car, or the back of the car. So you get the 5 tampo on both sides, big M on the front for Mach. Red plastic interior piece, regular clear window. These guys, these wheels, what are these? What are these wheels? So these are called 5 dots. And to steal a little adage from the Tesla's Cube boys, 5 dot master race. These are an iconic 2000s wheel type that actually died with this Speed Racer set. This was the final set of Hot Wheels cars released to use the 5 dot wheels. So this was one of the last cars to ever use them, which is a shame. I wish they kept the 5 dots around. They were some of my favorite wheels, and it sucks to see them go so early. 2008, this set came out. I wish we would have seen 5 dots to this day. But yeah, this was such a cool pickup, such a cool find. I think these cars are worth at least a little more than what I paid for this one in a loose lot, and for the condition it's in, I'm quite happy about that. So, that is the set of 8, the collection of 8 cars that I was able to find from that first vendor. Like I said, that was right at the start of my trip to this expo. So I was pretty happy I found at least some cars. I knew I wouldn't be walking away empty-handed. And then a whole lot of nothing happened for the rest of the convention. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold. If I'm a little stuffy, that's why. But yeah, so I kind of just found these 8 cars, and then we were walking, kind of snaking our way through the booths, and there was jack shit. Plenty of Hot Wheels sellers, but it was all licensed stuff. So I was really kind of content in knowing that this was probably going to be my only pickup, were these cars here. Yeah, let me move these off to the side a bit, because yeah, if you can tell, I'm building up to something here, but these were not, in fact, the only cars that I found. Literally one of the last sellers that we did not see in the day. One of the last ones that we got to. I see a table. I see a huge collection of carded Hot Wheels sitting on that table. And I see a lot of the old 2000s and 90s logos. So already I'm like, oh shit. Bruh, there are the era of car I'm looking for here. Let me walk over and see what they have. And it was heaven. It was so many old 2000s fantasy cars and late 90s fantasy cars. The exact era I was looking for. This guy had so many of it carded for crazy cheap prices. So me and the guy get talking. And of course I ask him if he has like any Acceleracers cars. He doesn't, but he's a huge fan of Acceleracers and World Race. I know I'm in good hands at this point. And he hooks me up with quite the selection of classic 90s and 2000s cars, all carded. I think I got 10 cars? Hang on. Yeah, I got 10 cars, and 8 of them are from I'd say 1995 to 2004. And because they're all fantasy, I was able to get those 10 cars carded for like $25, which is crazy. Dude cut me a crazy deal. Let's take a look at what I ended up getting. I'll start with the least interesting stuff. I'll start with the newer stuff that I got. Let's start off actually with the freebie that he threw in. I was only going to get 9 cars, and I asked if he had a certain newer model that I had yet to find, and he did actually have it. And because I got so many cars from him, he threw it in for free. So finally, I get to take a look at a brand new. This is the first brand new 2020s era car that I'm taking a look at on this channel, and this is specifically a 2026 new model. This is from this year. This, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not already familiar, this is Acceleron. I think that's the name of this casting, Acceleron. So this is a really sleek, nice hypercar released this year in the main line. I have yet to find one of these. I haven't gone hunting for new stuff in a while. Maybe I should go and look just to see if these are on the pegs now in my home city. But yeah, this guy had one. This is, like I said, a hypercar the designer himself said this, it's meant to be the car driven by a certain character that we see at the very end of the Acceleracers movies, who is not seen driving a car, but is known to drive cars. If you know, you know. And this is the car, hypothetically, that this character would have driven had we seen it. So that is super cool. It's a direct reference to Acceleracers in current year, which we love to see, us fantasy fans adore. So it's got this white enamel body, black plastic base with the release information there. Acceleron, there it is. Orange window piece. I think the interior is a dark blue. Yeah, you can see it on the side intakes there. It's a dark blue interior. Really cool spoiler design on the back here. I love the way this car goes together. So neat for a modern casting to look like this. The one problem people have been having with this car, and unfortunately mine does suffer it as well, for some reason, even out of the blister, the tampos are almost always scratched off in certain locations, and unfortunately mine is no different. There's a big gash on the tampo right there. This whole back piece of the spoiler is completely scuffed off. I didn't do any of that. It came like this out of the box, which is very unfortunate. It says, what does it say? No step right there. Nice, tasteful, futuristic, kind of cyberpunk graphics on this one. Really, the whole car does give a distinctly cyberpunk, neo-futuristic edge to it. Really sick, sleek body lines on this car. I don't know what this wheel type is called. This is one of the newer wheels that I don't remember offhand, but it's got this orange trim to it, which looks really nice. No doubt that will scrape off when these cars get well used. And yeah, this was such a cool freebie. If you look right there inside the cockpit of the car, you'll see these 2 or 3 little kind of Y shapes, and that is the Acceleron face logo, if you know from Acceleracers. The drones also use this because the drones were built by the Accelerons. So this is a cool little reference inside the car. You love to see Mattel and some of its designers discussing and referencing acceleracers of all things in current year. And I mean, I guess we did get that Silver Series set last year, which I may take a look at some point. If another thing like this happens and I don't have a video planned for this week, then I may just take a look at the Silver Series cars. So stay tuned for that eventually. Let's take a look at the next car. This is the only other one that's not from the early 2000s. It's another very special release. This is a 2017, I don't remember what series this was in, but this is an RDO2 from 2017. Another Racing Drones car, another Acceleracers casting. It's a little garish. It's got that mid to late 2010s interesting color palette and use of color theory. So not my favorite graphics-wise and color choice-wise, especially for a drones car. But this is cool. I got this one carded. It's a drones car nonetheless, so I figured I had to pick it up. I don't currently own an RDO2, so this is another one introduced to my collection. I used to have one as a kid, not the Acceleracers release. I think it was a Trick Tracks or Wall Tracks car. But this one I think is in the Glow Wheels set. So the cool thing is with these wheels, they're actually made in that glow-in-the-dark plastic. So if I were to shine a light on these and then turn the lights off, the wheels would glow. Don't remember the name of this wheel type. I think these are Trap 5s as well. Could be wrong on that. I'm probably wrong, but I don't care to correct myself. So it's got this red enamel body. Interesting kind of lime green. I don't know, neon green? I don't know what you'd call this color. Metal base. Glow in the dark. I think these are Trap 5 wheels. Black interior piece. Dark green window. And then some of these little accents here are also that same window piece. I've always really liked RDO2. I think in terms of all the drone cars, this is up there as one of my favorites. One of the more memorable designs. It's got this, like, I don't know how to describe this spoiler. It just looks mean. This car looks like a villain car, and sure enough, it is a villain car in universe. I fuck with it. I had to get this one. This was the only straight up Acceleracers casting that this guy had, so I figured I had to pick it up, and I did. This was actually the second to last RDO2 casting ever made. There was one in the mystery models, I believe, for 2020, and this one, like I said, was 2017. But after that, they stopped making it and discontinued the casting. So now we get to the interesting stuff. Now we get to the cars that I really wanted to make this video about. The remaining 8. And let's start with... maybe we go... Probably... Let's go oldest to newest. So let's take a look at this guy first. So I'd say if you ask any 2000s fantasy fan what the first really truly classic year of Hot Wheels is for us fantasy fans, I think most people would probably say 1995. Because out of the 12 new models for that year, yes, back when they only used to do 12 new castings for a year, there were quite a few, 4 in particular that I'm thinking of, absolutely like iconic fantasy castings. Whereas previous years, you'd maybe get 1 that was important, but this year had 4, so I think most people consider 1995 to be that first classic, proper year of Hot Wheels fantasy. And I happen to have a first edition of one of those 4 1995s. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a first edition 1995 Power Rocket, which is, out of the 4 castings, not my favorite. I like Power Rocket. It's a good casting. It's classic, it's nostalgic. This pre-retool, this original release, has a few cool extra things that I really appreciate about it that I will get to in a second. And there's even a little bit of Canadian history with this particular one. I'll get into that as well. So this, like I said, 1995 first edition. It's in this plastic matte purple. That's a little like Metal Flaky, actually. You can see the sheen in it, so it may be like a Metal Flake purple, but it's a plastic body, painted shiny gray metal base, which you don't really see this like particular way of painting a base nowadays. It's kind of interesting. This was back during the era where they actually did copyright them with the year of release, so it says 1995, and it was a 1995 new model, not the year after. You get EXP 3510 Experimental, no step. There's assumedly the gas cap. Danger, watch for flame, and the Hot Wheels logo, the old 90s Hot Wheels logo. Same thing on the other side. You get this chrome interior piece for the like jet turbine engine. That's the cool thing about Power Rocket. It's a kind of a Formula One style car with a full-on like jet plane engine built into it, and then these like exhausts, these crazy jet exhausts on the back, these thrusters, which are part of, in this original release, are part of the base. It's that same painted gray, shiny gray. Another cool thing about this original Power Rocket compared to the modern releases, a couple cool things. The spoiler here is not closed, so there's a break in the middle of it, whereas on a modern Power Rocket, this would all be one plastic piece. And then additionally, something that you don't get on modern Power Rockets, check this out. That cockpit piece opens up, and you get a little chrome, a little driver inside. He's his arms are a little interesting. He looks like I don't know, he looks like a toilet bowl is really the first thing that came to my mind. I don't think you'd be having your arms like this when you're driving a car. Like, it looks like you're hugging somebody. But yeah, I'm not going to judge the guy. It's his life. He could drive his car however he wants. But yeah, the new releases of Power Rocket do not have this opening and closing cockpit piece. Because it's expensive to make that. Yeah, and then I did mention something about kind of Canadian history, and that comes down to these wheels here. So these are gold painted 7SPs, which I think is a wheel type we have yet to see on this channel, because they don't really use it anymore. It was very much a 90s thing, and even 2000s castings barely used 7SPs. So really these 90s cars are going to be the only time we might see it. But this car, this first edition, was released in a ton of different wheel types, but specifically the gold 7SP release, which is the one I have here, was only ever released in Canada. So this is the Canadian release, the Canadian exclusive. I'm not sure if any of the other wheel types were released in Canada or if those are all kind of America and otherwise releases. But I do know for a fact that this gold 7SP was only released in Canada, which is super sick. So there's Power Rocket. So let's go from 1995 to 1996, which is a significantly less interesting year for fantasy. I think there's really only 2, maybe 3 castings in the new models that year that are iconic to this era. And I think even some people would disagree with that when I say iconic. But this is certainly one of them. This is the one that I think of when I think 1996. And I was able to get myself a new model of it. This is 1996's Turbo Flame, which is a casting that you saw quite a bit in the late 90s, early 2000s, especially in the video game side of things. A lot of Hot Wheels video games had a Turbo Flame playable. I think some even used this first edition. So you get the whole big fat 90s Hot Wheels logo on both sides. It's the only tampo, which is fitting considering the name of this car is Turbo Flame and has kind of a fire theme. You get this really nice jet of fire sticking out the back end made of the window piece. So you get this kind of cream plastic body, chrome interior, orange window piece, and then the flame is also the window. You get a unpainted Zamac metal base. Really interesting design here with these like holes on both sides. You don't see that nowadays. Chrome 5SPs. Iconic. And yeah, I mean, like, is it realistic? Not at all. This car makes no sense, but it's one that I really like. I had the 2000 and I think it was also a 2004 Track Aces version of this car, which looks very similar color-wise to this one. So even though I didn't grow up with this first edition, the version I did grow up with looked very similar. So this is evoking quite a bit of nostalgia for me. And yeah, I don't really have much to say about Turbo Flame. It's just a neat 1996 car. Probably the most notable 1996 first edition. Unless I'm missing something, I'll have to go back and look, see if there's anything more important to 1996, more important to the brand that I'm just forgetting about. All right, so now we're moving into, we're going to skip ahead a few years and move into the 2000s. Specifically, the year 2000, which had quite a few really fantastic first editions. I mean, Diora 2 was a first edition in 2000. And I mean, Diora 2 is one of the de facto fantasy cars for not just 2000s fans, but Hot Wheels fans in general. Hell, it's one of the fantasy castings that even licensed collectors kind of give a shit about. So there were quite a few good castings in 2000. And I don't have a carded Diora 2, unfortunately. I did at one point. I've opened it. But I do have some other classics, some other slightly more niche fantasy collector exclusive 2000 castings that fantasy fans love. And I mean, we might as well start with the big one. This was probably the most excited I was to find a single car at this show. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a 2000 first edition Showstopper. This was the very first JDM fantasy car that Hot Wheels made. You can see on the bottom there, Showstopper. Now this car is actually not called Showstopper anymore and was only called Showstopper for a handful of releases. This car is now known as Seared Tuner because of a licensing dispute. So you may see this exact car and then the base says Seared Tuner and not Showstopper. It is the same car, it just had a name change within about a year of this car coming out. So this is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful casting. I love it so much. First edition has basically no tampos. It is a metal flake yellow, smoked out window piece, so you can't really see the interior of the car at all. I guess there's a bit of tampo work on the hood here, this like grid pattern and this little red stripe. This is actually in reference to the designer of this car wanting to make the first edition of it red, but was denied because apparently there were too many red cars in the main line that year. The very next year, in 2001, it did actually get a red release, which looks fantastic as well. But this yellow, I think, looks nice. And I'm not a fan of yellow, but I think this one is extremely nice and tasteful. You get these 3 SP wheels, which they also don't use anymore. This is a wheel type you don't see. It's been discontinued. 3 spokes on both sides, really nice. You get these, I don't know if they're like intakes or exhausts, but you get these really cool cut-ins on both sides of the car that just give it this JDM attitude that I really, really mess with. There's the back there, cool spoiler. There's the base, plastic base, gray plastic. It's interesting, by this era they were still doing cars. I thought by this era they had changed it, but this says 2000, and this was a 2000 first edition, but I thought at this point they had copyrighted these the year before. I was expecting this to say 1999. Yeah, this is... Oh, I'm so happy to own one of these in the first edition. Such a cool car. It's a showstopper. Let's take a look at the other 2000 car I got. Another iconic fantasy casting from this year. This is Muscle Tone. One of the first modern muscle cars that Hot Wheels designed. Really, really nice. Kind of more of an American car flavor. That muscle car energy. Metal Flake Orange, very similar to Monoposto's first edition release, with this dark blue, almost purple accenting line through the front of the car and then on both sides. So it's got a little bit of extra color, a little bit of extra something going on, which I do appreciate. It's not just the orange. It's a dark blue interior. Can't really see it because you get the smoked out front and back window. Gray base. Gray plastic base. This one also says 2000. Interesting. I guess they hadn't changed it at this point. Chrome PR5s. 2000 was the very first year that PR5s were used, and Muscle Tone was one of the first cars to use it. Really cool. Really nice muscle car. I don't really have much to say about this one either. I didn't grow up with one of these. Muscle Tone is a new casting to me, but it's one I really appreciate, and especially this first edition looks so clean. And these will all be in perfect condition because I was the one that opened the pack. They were not used by a child at any point. So going forward a year, we have a couple 2001 first editions to cover. And then I think our last two are 2004. So let's take a look at our 2001 castings. We have Super Tuned first edition. I've been going for quite a while, so I think I'm going to speed through the rest of these quite fast. Metal Flake Blue. Metal body. Same gray plastic base, and this one actually does say 2000. So at this point, they were doing the year later, because this was a 2001 first edition. Chrome PR5s. Orange interior, you can see from the truck bed here. I guess I should explain. Super Tuned is a lowrider tuned truck. Race truck, which was an aesthetic and a type of vehicle that you don't really see much anymore. These like lowrider trucks, but was very, very popular in the early 2000s, late 90s, especially in JDM culture. You'd get these really low to the ground pickup trucks. You see how much the wheels dig into their wells there. It's really interesting. It sits very low to the ground. Can't really see that very well. But yeah, the truck bed's been converted into, looks like intakes or exhausts, and then a spoiler to make it more aerodynamic. You don't really think aerodynamics when you think of a pickup truck, but people sure did try to make them as aerodynamic as possible. Trying to figure out what the tampo says. Something fat. I don't know what that first Is it P fat? R fat? I don't know. Something fat and then a signature. One of my favorite things about this era of Hot Wheels fantasy, especially the tuner stuff, is this was back when they would make fake sponsors. So these are all not real brands. These are all fake sponsorships to look like real ones, all based on names of designers and people on the design team. So usually their first or last name would be turned into a graphic, and they would be added on as a fake sponsor on some of these cars, which is really, really neat. But yeah, this is such a cool, sexy, dare I say. This is a sexy ass truck. And I'm not normally a truck fan. Really, I think pickup trucks are generally very ugly. But this is just like, god damn, if I saw this at like a drag race, some sort of illegal street drag race, I'd be creaming myself, man. This is wonderful. And then the other 2001 first edition I got will be a familiar face to those familiar with what I do. I've talked about this casting already. This is a first edition Fandango, which is a kind of, I don't know, like a minivan. Really cool, stylized minivan, which again is not a type of car that I normally associate with looking good. But that was the magic of Hot Wheels Fantasy in this era. You'd get people looking to challenge themselves and make these really normally unappealing types of vehicles and make them really sexy and sleek looking. So once again, it's another first edition in this Metal Flake Orange. They liked to do this Metal Flake Orange a lot for first editions. You get this like graffiti green Tampo Fandango with the Hot Wheels logo. Chrome PR5s. Same Tampo on the other side. Orange window. I'm not sure how I feel about the orange on orange. I do think they could have picked a different color for the orange, or for the window piece. Dark blue interior. Same thing as Muscle Tone, actually. I think it's the exact same color scheme that Muscle Tone uses. And then that same gray plastic base. This one says 2001. Maybe it's an international thing. Maybe the international cars copyright the year it was actually released, whereas the US ones copyright the year before. No clue. But it's interesting because this was a 2001 new model. Tab and post designs. You get the post in the front, and then the back of the van where the license plate would go kind of slots in there. Holds it in place. Not much to say about Fandango. I took a look at this one in the Sega video. This was the van that got the Space Channel 5 deco. And yeah, not much more to say about that one. All right, final two cars that I got carded from that guy. These are both 2004 first editions. So another few years in the future. I didn't get anything from 2002 or 2003. But I did get a pair from 2004, and they're both cars I've been wanting to get my hands on for a while. So the lesser of the two, in my opinion, is this guy here. This is Brutalistic, a 2004 new model. It's got this Metal Flake purple metal body, Metal Flake gold metal base. So this is a metal on metal casting, which you do not see in the main line ever nowadays. This doesn't happen. So it's super cool to see. Even in the mid 2000s, they were still doing metal on metal castings for new models. Really, really neat. Chrome PR5s, really cool decos, sort of a flame. I don't know, like a cross between like a lightning bolt with like a flame coloring. I don't know how you'd describe that. Piss window, classic. It's a two-seater. the Hot Wheels logo molded into the interior piece, which is chrome. It's a chrome interior. You can see from the little side bits here. Piss window extends into the engine covering. I don't know how you'd describe kind of what this car is. It's very abstract looking. Like, you would never see something like this on the road or on a racetrack. But it's so unique. It's so interesting looking. Oh, I just noticed there's a bit of chipping on the side there, unfortunately, out of the blister. These things happen. So there's that base again. You get Brutalistic. 2004, which was the year of release. So it must be an international packaging thing, because this was a 2004 new model. Famously, 2004 was the year where we got 100 new models, which is the most new models they've ever done for a year. But like half of those were fucking garbage. If you know, you know. All those like gimmick cars, like the Fatbacks and Blings. But even then, we still got some really fantastic new models like Brutalistic. And the final car for today, this is the first edition of See You Later. CUL8R. I had a few of these as a kid. I didn't have the first edition, but I did have a 5-pack release. And I think I had one that came with a track set as well. Interesting color scheme they went with for the first edition. It's this metal flake gray for the body and a painted metal flake red for the base, which, just give me a second here, I think it's also metal on metal. Yeah, just had to test it. Easiest way to tell if a car is, if a part of a car is plastic or metal, that and you can't tell, put it up to your nose. Put it right up to your nose, and if it's cold, it is metal. If it is not cold, it's plastic. Both the body and the base were cold, so this is a metal on metal casting. I actually do have a modern release of See You Later that I picked up from the 2025 Halloween themed set, and they actually don't do that anymore. It's been tooled out and is now a metal body plastic base. And it feels a lot lighter. One thing I remember about my childhood See You Laters is they always had a really nice weight to them, and this one has that weight due to it being metal on metal. So you get a chrome interior as well, as you can see from this little riveted on bit here, and the engine. Dark red window piece, which again extends down into the engine, covers portions of it. Really cool. I love the riveting detail on both sides. It's more of like a, this reminds me of like what a Metal Maniacs sports car would look like. It's got that edge and that kind of riveted, hastily riveted together design of a Maniacs car, but it's got the body lines and stance of like a sporty, I don't know, like a sports car, hypercar kind of thing. Tab and post design, so you get a post in the front, and then the base slots in through the interior in the back here. This was also tooled out. It's a 2-rivet car now. Chrome PR5s, red, white, and blue tampos on both sides, kind of towards the front there, if it'll focus. And then, like I mentioned at the start, you do get the name of the car, See You Later, in the graphics on both sides as well. Super, super sick. I'm glad to have one of these in my collection again. I'd love to get my childhood one. It was in this like green and blue with like a, I think it was a Gorilla. Yeah, because it was the Gorilla Attack 5-pack. Had one of those, and it was like a gorilla on the side graphic here. It looked kind of goofy, but it was very nostalgic, and I would love to pick that 5-pack up again at some point and take a look at it for a video. But yeah, that's See You Later. It's the last car that I was able to pick up. So I'd say that was a pretty successful Expo haul. Absolutely going to go again next year or the next time they do one of these and see if I can pick up some more stuff. But I would say, kind of angle the camera up there so you can see everything. I'd say this was a pretty successful hunt, and I can't wait to do it again. So I won't take any more of your guys' time up. Thank you all so much for watching. I ended up going a little longer than I wanted to, but that tends to be how all of these videos go when I get talking about cars. We're over an hour at this point, so hopefully you watched the whole thing. If you did watch the whole thing and you enjoyed it and you like hearing me talk about stupid toy cars, drop this video a like. If you really liked it and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button down below. Hit that motherfucking subscribe button, man, please. And if you are excited about more, I have more coming up. Not to spoil what the next video is, but I do have something that has only ever been talked about in one other YouTube video coming up next, and it's very rare. So I'll be very excited to take a look at that next time. Excited for the future of the series. Anyway, I hope you guys had a great time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I will talk to you guys in the next video. See ya.